UnitedWeStart, a group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners in various topics. Join us every second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific time, which is 18 to 20 hours GMT. Join us. We're looking forward to meeting you. Hi, everybody. This is Detlev here, out of Switzerland. We are in our UnitedWeStart Roundtable discussion, October 13th. So remember, every second Saturday of the month, we are having our fantastic Roundtable discussion. And with me are two best friends here in the UnitedWeStart team. It's Alan. Alan, are you there from Ireland?
I am indeed. How are you, Detlev? How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. And Matt from the US. It's early morning in your part of the world, is it?
It's 10 a.m. It's a beautiful day out here in Oregon, and I'm glad to be with our United We Start audience and with the both of you. It's always a pleasure for me to spend time talking to intelligent folks like yourselves.
Right. So this time we have lots of topics, no guests so far. And two other members of the team are currently on the way, but they might join us later on. But there are so many topics to talk about that we don't even know how to start. But I think as you are an early bird today, Matt, you may start with the U.S.
Yeah, Detlev. I don't know.
Sorry, Matt. Can I just do the obligatory chat room stuff before we start? Is that okay?
Yes. Let's do that.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. For people who want to join us on the actual United We Start chat room, if you go over to the website unitedwestart.org and click on the chat room menu option, you don't need to have a username or password. You can type in whatever name you want. Click on the tick box to register. And then you'll be able to get straight into the chat room and you'll be able to chat to us there. That's unitedwestart.org, and check us out there, and you'll be able to chat with us. Over to you, Matt.
Okay, great. So I wanted to share with our audience my thoughts about what's currently going on in America, because as an awake person who's been in the forefront of awakening the world to the machinations of the New World Order, it is disturbing for me to watch what's going on in our country at this point. It is sad to see, because I'm seeing the destruction of America. And I just listened to a program by Mike Adams from the Natural News, and he's calling it, and he's the only one other than myself that is calling what's going on in America currently as a civil war. And that is exactly what we have going on. It is not a violent civil, well, it is violence, but it's not the kind of civil war where you draw lines in the dirt and say, okay, you are on that side and we are on this side, and we attack each other appropriately. It's not that kind of civil war. It's a cultural civil war. It's a political civil war, and it's a civil war for the heart and soul of America. We recently had here last week the confirmation of a new Supreme Court Justice, Brett Kavanaugh. But the getting to the point where he was appointed or confirmed was really detrimental to the political system of America. We have a process where the Senate Judiciary Committee will interview, basically, the nominee that the president provides for the position of Supreme Court Justice. And they'll, interrogate him and then ask him questions. And if they feel he or she is appropriate to put on the bench, then they'll prove that and confirm him, and then we have a new Supreme Court justice. In general, this is normally a civilized process. But in the case of Judge Kavanaugh, what they did was, after the confirmation hearings were complete and it looked like he was definitely going to be confirmed, Dianne Feinstein leaked to the media a letter she received from a lady in California, Christine Ford, and her letter alleges that the justice nominee, Judge Kavanaugh, had attempted rape on her back in the early 80s while she was a teen. She could provide no evidence. She did not know where it took place, when it took place, how she got there, how she got home, because it was a long ways from where she actually lived. The other people she provided as witnesses all denied ever being in a place like that. So she had no corroborating evidence whatsoever to back up her story. Well, instead of and Dianne Feinstein got this this letter back in July during the confirmation hearings, and they could have researched this, investigated this, and found that she had, is a non-true story, and they could have taken care of this without hassle. But then she brought it out after the confirmation, and then we had this circus of just vicious political assassination of character on this poor judge and his family based on untrue allegations. And I'll say it, she was lying through her teeth, okay? But the whole political machine, the whole corporate media machine turned on this poor guy. And the whole movement, the paid-for George Soros movement, and the political hacks all come up with this meme that says survivors must be believed, meaning that survivors of sexual assault should be believed. Well, okay, we can believe them, but if their stories don't have any evidence, then the allegations is not founded, in reality. At least that's the way we look at things in our judicial systems, or at least we used to. And that's the way we used to think about fairness in our society. One is presumed innocent until proven guilty by evidence. And the threshold of evidence, guilt could vary in people's minds, but in the court is beyond a reasonable doubt. But in America, that is foregone now. And the demand is, just because a woman alleges a male has assaulted her sexually or otherwise, she is to be believed, and the man is guilty and has no right to defend himself. And from there, you're just guilty. And that is the course that America has taken. No presumption of innocence. And this is being pushed by the Democrats and their minions in the corporate media. It's a very scary time in America where due process is no longer a valid means of conducting civil society. Then you have Hillary Clinton calling for incivility. We cannot be civil to a party that means to destroy everything you care about. So if you disagree with the Democrats, it's okay to be uncivil. You've got the former Attorney General, Eric Holder, saying he took one of Michelle Obama's lines, when we go high, when they go low, we go high. He says, no, when they go low, we kick them, advocating violence again. And you've got Maxine Waters, this really dumb California representative, saying that mobs should engage people in the Trump administration and or anybody that they don't like. And you see that now in America, where angry mobs, violent mobs roam the streets here in Portland, just outside where I live. We had an incident last week where Antifa were running in the streets of Portland protesting. The cops don't do anything, and they're attacking motorists and old women in wheelchairs. I'm going to put a link to that article in the chat room here shortly. But you've got angry mobs, violent mobs roaming the streets of America. And within the last 2 years since Trump has got elected, you've seen violent attacks against people that don't believe the Democrats anymore. Steve Scalise was shot by an angry, what was he? A Bernie Sanders supporter at a baseball practice for congressmen. And if not for Capitol Police having taken this guy out with their firearms, he could have taken out a lot of our congressmen. And you see where, Rand Paul was attacked by his radical left neighbor, broke like 6 ribs, and you see all kinds of violence being used in the streets of America on political opponents. And this is nothing less than a civil war. And I will say that it is a civil war. It's a cultural, political, and war for America. And it's kind of disturbing to see. They're even openly calling for socialism in America. They're not even hiding the fact that they want socialism in America, that democracy or a constitutional republic is not the form of government we should have. We should have no borders. We should cater to illegal aliens before we take care of our own citizens, and we shall have no presumption of innocence, and your political opponents are prey for anger and violence. And that's what we're seeing in America right now. And it's ugly. It's ugly. If it came to a shooting war between these leftists and, people, patriot Americans, they would easily lose because they don't believe in having firearms, and the rest of America are armed well. The best salesperson in the history of America for firearms was Barack Obama. Every time he opened his mouth about, oh, yes, we need to take the guns, everyone went out and got more. But so I don't think it'll come to like a shooting war. But this upcoming election next month, November 6th, we have a midterm election coming up in America. And this will decide the fate of America. Whether the Democrats get control of the House or Senate matters not. I think if they get control of the House, at least, they'll create havoc and try to impeach Donald Trump and try to impeach Mike Pence, and then the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, would become President of the United States. I think they would work towards that. It would be just a travesty for the country. And if they don't win the House or the Senate, I think they will advocate more violence, and you will see more Antifa, Black Lives Matters, and paid for Soros groups creating havoc and violence throughout the United States. And it's ugly. It is really ugly here.
Yeah, that's amazing. A question here to this character Ford. I mean, that happened when supposedly happened when they were younger, in the student's age or something.
High school.
Or high school even. So
yes.
Why did she wait 40, 50 years? I don't know how old she is.
36 years she waited.
Yeah, why did she wait 36 years to come out with that story?
Well, this is my explanation of that. I saw a tweet that she had sent out. Nobody really talked about it in our corporate media. Why would they? Because it would expose her. But during the first Supreme Court justice's appointment process that Trump nominated, Judge Gorsuch, she tweeted out that we need some kind of rape allegation, right? She wanted to see somebody come forward with a rape allegation against Judge Gorsuch. So I also found out that she is a consultant for the company that creates the abortion pill, the morning after pill. So if you have unprotected sex and you think you might be pregnant, the next morning you take the pill and you abort the fetus or the pregnancy. She was a spokesman for them. And the biggest fight over the Supreme Court in the United States is over this notion that Roe versus Wade, which is the decision that not legalized abortion, but said it wasn't illegal. They don't want that overturned. The globalists don't want that overturned because abortion is a means of population control. And so it is one of the, if not the biggest banner carried by the Democrats as a political rallying cry, because women's rights have to be respected. Well, the right to murder a child is what they're trying to protect. And she was a consultant to the company that develops or profits from the abortion pill. So I think her motivation was because of that, and to wait all these years, 36 years, to come up with this allegation. Well, that was her motivation to prevent Kavanaugh who is conservative, and they think he might help to overturn the decision to legalize abortion. They used that as a weapon, a political weapon, and it backfired. It backfired because this whole process of just destroying this poor guy's life galvanized the people on the right, you if you want to call them that, people who are even-minded folks who believe in fairness. They saw through this, and they saw the Democrats just vicious political tactics. And I think this midterm election is going to be very contentious. It is going to be contentious. It's going to be a close call. But I think, like with 2016, the motivated people, the silent majority of people in the United States are awake, and I think they'll hit the polls. And at least I hope not. I don't think the Democrats will come back into power. But even if they don't, you'll see violence, more calls for violence and more violence and attacks against innocent people in the United States. But she waited 36 years because she has skin in the game of keeping abortion legal in the United States.
Right. I would say, I mean, you were mentioning Soros financing all these groups and so forth, and especially Antifa. Now, if the public knows that, don't they question themselves, well, why would a globalist? Because Soros is not an American, is he?
I think he lives in America now, though, but he's not an American.
Yeah, he's not an American, but how can he interfere in political matters with such an amount of money? Doesn't the public get some idea of what's really going on?
The general public, no. The awake public, yes. And we're getting to the point, though, that they are having to talk about George Soros funding on corporate media, at least on Fox Network. They do mention that occasionally. Some of the hosts on Fox lean way left, and they'll say, no, that's not true. But some actually come out and actually say that. And they're having to acknowledge that within the Washington, D.C., even the politicians are having to acknowledge that. Now that it's becoming more public, I'm hoping that the American public will catch on and start going after these groups and start finding ways to defund them or exposing them to the point that they become ineffective. Mike Adams suggested on his Counterthink program that I was listening to this morning. It was published on the 11th, I believe. He's saying that we should go after the Antifa leaders as terrorists, because that's what they are. If you look at the definition of terrorism, which is the use of violence to achieve political gains, that's what they're trying to do. They're a terrorist group. We should go after them as terrorists. But we have lame, ineffective, part of the club, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He's part of the New World Order. He's not going to do that. So Trump, I think, after the midterm elections, if they keep the Congress and the Senate, then he would be able to fire without impunity Jeff Sessions and try to get somebody in that will actually do something and hopefully go after these Antifa terrorists.
Yeah, I mean, with Antifa, that would be including Soros as well. I mean, how can you tolerate somebody who's not American, and he certainly isn't? How can you tolerate financing those groups in your own territory? I mean, this is absolutely insane, isn't it?
It is. And we don't have the political backbone to do anything right now. We should go after him for supporting terrorist groups, like we would assume somebody might finance ISIS or Al Qaeda. We claim that they're terrorist groups. We know they're not. We know that they're funded and controlled by the American government. But in the same vein, you could charge Soros and his puppets with terrorist activity and put them in jail. I agree with you, Detlev.
Now another question here. I mean, we were talking about people who are awake. Now, there are certain levels of awakeness. I'm sure we agree on that. But in total, what do you think about the U.S.? I mean, it's a very hard and tough question to ask. But how many do you think are awake in terms of percentage?
I'm thinking more towards the 50 to 55% range. I'm thinking, based on what we saw in the election of 2016. But because of this event with the Supreme Court and the confirmation process for Judge Kavanaugh, I think more people are becoming awake. And you're seeing people like Kanye West. I guess he's a music artist who visited with Trump at the White House, I think on Thursday. And he was espousing, very conservative views about guns and the welfare system and the like. And he was speaking to blacks and saying, hey, look, just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democratic. And I think he's given voice to those people on the Democratic side who are of African-American descent, the power to think for themselves, the right to think for themselves and say, well, wait, I don't have to think I'm a Democrat just because of my skin color. I can think otherwise. And it's hard to gauge how much that's has awakened people, but I know it's having an effect. So I'm saying 55% of the people might be awake and growing because of the bitterness and the viciousness of this whole political game now being perpetrated on America by the Democratic Party and their backers in the New World Order.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I mean, we listened to many frightening news from the U.S. that many of the alternative or new media like InfoWars and others were being attacked by, taking away their financial possibilities like PayPal. I mean, PayPal, I think, terminated the contract with InfoWars. So it makes them harder to get financed. And the other thing is they are getting trouble on Facebook, Twitter, and so forth. So
yes.
They are really harassed. I mean, it's not only InfoWars, but there are many others as well who are being attacked. What do you think, or do you have any new information on how the public regards this? Is this are the public aware to that, or what is behind that? What's your opinion?
Well, it's a good point that you bring up that these major tech companies are blocking opposing voices to their leftist views. The public's awakening to that, and plus you get great news that Facebook was hacked again just from yesterday, right? More hacking, and that's going to wake public up to the fact that Facebook is not their friends, and the news is getting out that people of conservative voices are being blocked. Even Fox News is having to report that because it's an issue, and I think that's helping to awaken people to the fact that there is a tyranny in going on in America. And why should it matter to the world that America is going through the Civil War and its possible outcome being America shoved into a socialist political system? Well, it's because the United States has fleets of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, fleets of nuclear-powered submarines, squadrons of nuclear bombers, ICBMs that can rain down hell from 10,000 miles away. You've got, hundreds and thousands of American troops stationed around the world. So it should matter to the world what happens in America, because America, under a socialist or fascist type governmental system run by Hillary Clinton and Maxine Waters, would be a detriment to the safety of the people of planet Earth. That's why it matters.
Very true. And I'm also, as you're talking about military and weapons and so forth, I had some publications here, read through this entire generation of US weapons easily hackable because they're also using Chinese chip technology and so forth. And the other one was Mattis orders 80% of key fighter jets ready for war within 1 year. So what do you make out of those headlines?
They want a war. They're wanting a war. Odd that just before John Bolton was replaced, who was it? Not Kelly. John Bolton. Anyway, Henry Kissinger paid a visit to Donald Trump, and then shortly thereafter, John Bolton became the National Security Advisor. John Bolton is a war hawk. He never met a war that he wasn't in favor of. Killing people and watching them die is, like him playing a video game or something. He enjoys that. So that Mattis, I heard that report too, by the way, Detlev, that he was calling for, the Air Force to become more ready. They want war. They want a war with Russia. We see it all the time here in the United States. Russia bad, Putin bad, we hate Russia. Now we're going after China. We hate China, China bad, they're evil. And we hear these terms like Russian aggression or Chinese aggression. They're creating a straw man or a false narrative to justify going to war with somebody or them at all. And the United States would lose, and they don't care. But they're just wanting that war. They want that war to create, loans that the governments have to take out to buy tanks and bullets and airplanes and such. So the bankers make money, and then the military contractors make money, and then the Congress people make money based on their investments into these groups. And then we destroy the world. So after we destroy the world, we have to finance the rebuilding of it. And just for the fun of it, let's kill off millions and millions of people. Hey, that's not a bad idea because we just got too many of the useless eaters anyway. That's what they're going for. If this election coming up in November is positive and the Republicans maintain power and in the House and the Senate, then Trump will have more leverage to work on peace throughout the world. I know he wants to make peace with Vladimir Putin, but the intelligence agencies is trying to prevent that. I think if the Congress can remain Republican, he will have more ability to exercise control, and I think keep us from going to war. But you're right. I think it's alarming that we're calling for the military readiness to be increased.
Yeah, well, that's pretty tough, I must say. But even though, also the Kissinger and Soros are both Rothschild agents. We all know that.
Right.
But the public doesn't. Is that the case? Or?
Yeah, the public doesn't know that. They don't know that. Some really awake people might know that. I doubt if even people that listen to Alex Jones would know that.
Yeah. Well, Alex Jones, we talked about this. He's too much controlled now, at least.
Yes.
Also, yep. We agree on that. But
yep.
On the other hand, he's an important new media outlet, right?
Right. I think if people are just waking up, they can listen to him and kind of get an idea of what's going on without getting into the weeds or the real details like he used to. Anymore, it's just softball reporting from them, and a lot of it's like milk toast. It's really not meaty or substantive like it used to be. I don't even pay attention to them anymore. Be honest.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, because the beginning when I started listening to him were really very good. I learned so much about the system and so forth. Well, anyways,
yeah, he still has a couple of good movies out there, and I'll go find the links here when I get a break here. But 2 movies I would recommend for our audience that Alex Jones did do that will help you wake up and then help wake up your friends and neighbors and family is Endgame, A Blueprint for Global Enslavement, in which the first half of the movie he shows the Bilderberg Gathering in Canada and identifies how the Bilderberg groups is a cover for global government. And then on the second half of the movie, he shows how, tyrannical governments like the Soviets with Stalin, or Mao Zedong, or Hitler, when they pulled the guns from the citizens, had no ways of defending themselves, how they had genocide within those countries because people were disarmed. And and he outlines the depopulation agenda from the UN. And then the other movie I would recommend is Terror Storm, where he shows you what a false flag terror event looks like, and he goes through history on showing you what false flag terror events have taken place in the past, and then you can recognize them when you see them. It makes it a lot easier. I think those two movies will help wake up people. I recommend them. But any more, Alex Jones, softballs.
Yeah, unfortunately, but that's why we are here as well, and others who are taking on the role Alex Jones had in the beginning, and even driving it further. But the other thing is, okay, we are talking about a possible civil war, an actual civil war which is already taking place, not bloody yet, but you think there will not be a bloody or, let's say, shooting sort of thing going on?
I don't think so. I don't think the military would participate in something like that, one, because most of them guys are kind of like my mindset, most of them. Although you've got illegal aliens in there now, I don't know how that works, but I don't think so. If it came to a confrontation between the left and the right politically, like the Antifa crowds versus, say, conservatives, they would lose, and they know it because they're not armed and we are.
Yeah. Well, but
so, I think that the people or the militias, not the official military militias, but the public or the common man militia, they are heavily armed, and that is still a threat to the globalists, isn't it? Don't they want them to get disarmed? Indeed, and that's why they want to push the socialist agenda, get Hillary Clinton into power, because that's the first thing she would do, come after the guns. I mean, she openly says, we want your guns. Because without them, you cannot defend yourself from a tyrannical government. And that's the thorn in the side of the New World Order. I mean, you take a place that is unarmed, like, I don't think Ireland, I guess, is unarmed, right? Unarmed citizenry. It wouldn't take much to ruin their day by taking over their country, in a place like that. In America, it's a lot tougher because we are armed, and we have a lot of veterans who know how to jump into tanks and airplanes and use them as well.
Right. Well, I have an information which you might have not come about. That is, the Clintons, Bill and Hillary, were in Munich the last weekend to the Oktober Fest. The famous party which the Bavarians like to have once a year.
Yes.
So, and they were sitting on a table together with Lord Jacob Rothschild.
No kidding. I never saw that.
Yes, and
hey, if you want to put that in the chat room, I'd check that out.
Yeah, well, the issue is it's in German, but never. I can. There's a pic. Somebody photographed them together, and Hillary was looking worried a little bit on this specific picture. And this weekend, as a matter of fact, tomorrow there are Bavarian elections. So there could be two reasons for them being there, but Hillary and Bill Clinton being there with Lord Jacob Rothschild in these times, it looks a little funny, doesn't it? So maybe
that's telling.
We're meeting.
Yeah, that's telling. And they're signaling there openly that they're in collusion. One, two, that whatever comes forward from the banking system and the New World Order, Bill and Hillary got their marching orders, right?
Yeah.
That's what that tells us.
Absolutely.
And then she comes home and says, "Well, we can't be civil." So maybe advocating of civil war is exactly what their marching orders were. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think, the timing currently shows that the Rothschilds were very worried about the outcomes of the Bavarian elections, which are taking place tomorrow. And they're also very worried about what the midterm election may bring out. Right.
Right. Hey, Alan, you've been quiet all this time. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the Civil War in America?
Right. Yeah, I've just been listening in, and loads to have a think about and have a chat about. Well, from my perspective on what I've seen, the whole idea, I still think, I still kind of support Trump. Do I support him 100%? No, because I still have concerns about Israel and the whole Netanyahu and all that kind of stuff. The Zionists more so than anything else, not the actual Jewish people. But yeah, the whole cabinet thing, the Democrats have really showed their card because apparently this Ford woman is not a doctor, number one. Number two, why did she leave us so long to actually bring it up? Now, it's obvious that, to anybody on the street, even somebody who's not involved in the alternative media, is that they got desperate and they said, look, we need to stop cabinet getting in, because from my understanding is that Trump wants to call martial law, but he wants to call an emergency martial law because when he calls that, he can then control and move on these people, the elites, the deep state. He can move on them because martial law will be declared, because he gets specific rights and control over the laws when that's declared. And he needed cabinet to be in to help him to actually declare that. And they knew that, and they needed to do everything they possibly could in their power to stop cabinet from getting in, even churning up this fake rape case. Now, we mentioned this on the show on OIM last week, and a guest we had on said, well, when she was young, she was, she was raped in college and everything else. And I'm not taking away from things like that do happen, and it's important that if that does happen, that the perpetrator should be brought to court and should be locked up. But on the other side, you have these women who shout false rape claims. And a lot of the time, they don't have anything happen to them. And if they do, they get a slap in the hand. Now, I personally think that if a woman starts calling false rape claims, and it is false, and it's proven false, that they should at least get 10 years in jail, because they can destroy somebody's life. I read a story a couple of weeks ago about this happening in the UK, where a girl, for whatever reason, decided to say this guy raped her, and he didn't. He ended up committing suicide, and then his mother ended up committing suicide. And then she came out and said, oh yeah, no, I pretended, I faked it. It was a false allegation. Now, that girl should go to jail for about 10 years for doing that, because there's more and more of these women there's women out there who are sick enough to do things like that. And you can destroy somebody's life by doing something like that. Chinese whisper. So if this Ford woman, now even the police turned around and said, we're not going to bother to investigate this because there's not enough evidence. It's speculation. And even if it did happen, it's her word against his. Where's the evidence? It was 30 odd years ago, So now his cabinet staff, the women that were working for Kavanagh over the years, were all interviewed, and they said, no, he's a nice guy, never had any problem, any tal like that. Leopards kind of don't change their spots. And if he was anyway a male chauvinist and stuff like that, well, that would have came up with women he worked with or anything, things like that. But it didn't come up. So the Democrats and Ford are just trying to destroy this man's life. Now, apparently Ford has now pulled all claims away. She said, no, I'm not going any further with this, because they know that it's all BS. And she's probably been trained by the CIA anyway of how to do things. Apparently she's helped people get off lie detectors as well, by telling them how to do it and how to manipulate it. So she's a nasty piece of work, and I think she's realised now how much she was being manipulated by the Democrats to actually try and stop Kavanaugh getting in. But at the end of the day, the truth holds out, and he's got in. Now they're even crapping themselves because a claim that Hillary apparently said when Trump was being, the two of them were fighting for the election, said, we better not let this toss her in. I'll be very polite with my words, because if he gets in, we're all gonna hang. Apparently, Hillary said something like that. I'm kind of, that's not word for word, but you get the idea. Yeah, paraphrasing, yeah. So now that he's in, now Trump can organize the martial law for a short period of time, just to round up these people. Now, civil war. I mean, the Democrats, they know they're desperate, and the only way that they could possibly stop things from happening is to create civil war and cause that problem. And I totally agree with you, Matt. You said these people were interviewed, and they said about, kick them when they're down and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that was all said. But the other thing that was said, I don't know whether you guys seen this, that John McCain, the politician who tripped up when he was being interviewed and said about John McCain being executed. Now, we've heard through the grapevine that John McCain was given two choices. I mean, he was going to be executed anyway for treason and child sex trafficking, but they gave him two choices, and he said, right, the first choice is, we're going to expose you and tell everybody about you and your crimes and everything else, or that's number one, or number two, you sing like a canary, and we won't say anything. We'll pretend that you had a brain tumor for your friends and your family and everything else, and we won't say anything. So he picked option number two. So he was singing like a canary and said everything, but he still got executed for treason and sex trafficking. And the politician who was interviewed actually said it by a Freudian slip about, oh yeah, when John McCain was executed, and it was kind of, oops, I shouldn't have said that. So that was said on the American media. I don't know the politician said it, but it was obviously, he wasn't meant to say it. So Trump is doing, he's clearing the swamp, and he's doing it, but he has to do it in such a way. He has to do it, be very clever with the way he does it. The Democrats, the election that's coming up now, I can't see the Democrats having a hope in hell in getting in and winning. And I just don't see it. Now, obviously, all this crap that people are believing with Ford, and all the women are saying, oh, we're going to come out and vote for women and go against Trump. That is the annoying thing, that these people are going to be brainwashed into thinking that Kavanaugh got in, that they're saying, oh, when you're in power, you can get away with everything. Well, when you're in power and you're in the deep state, yes, you can get away with loads of things, and they've got away with loads of things for a long time. But now the tide is changing, so they just need to wake up. Really, really need to wake up and see what's going on. As I say, Ford's not going to be pursuing that case anymore with Kavanaugh. They'll try all this stuff, but I can't see them getting away with it. I really can't see them getting away with it. The Clintons and they're all. The Rockefellers, they should be worried, because there's a lot going on, and the fight is on now. I mean, there really is a major fight on at the moment. There's a lot going on, and so we'll just see what happens, Matt, regarding the states and regarding the playground at the moment, because the states involved with the petrodollar and everything else. So the kind of the fight is on in America, but the deep state and the whole cleaning up and the Fulcrum files, all that's going to come over to Asia, to China, to Europe eventually, and the tidy up will happen, but it's just going to take time. So Trump has been, how many times they've tried to kill the guy, and that's what you want to do. You want to take him out, because he is rattling the cages of all these people, or the deep state. And so that's kind of my take on, I forget what else you're talking about there, but that's my kind of take on what I've seen so far. I do know as well that, there's people in America that you're so used to your parties. Like over here in Ireland, we have political parties. And, you get families saying, oh, we're a Fianna Fáil house and we're a Fine Gael house. And in America, you might be a Democrat house or you might be a Republican house. People need to get out of that. They're supporting their government team like it's a football team. But these government parties are destroying the country. It's not a game. And people need to wake up to it. Just because your granddad voted Democrat doesn't mean you have to. You need to see what these people really are and wake up to it, and see what's going on.
You know, this whole event with Kavanaugh, I think really polarized the country even more so than it was. Now, I think independently minded folks will turn away from the Democrat Party, as you can tell by the popularity of the walk away movement. So I'm hoping that more of those people get to the polls to keep Trump in power. I don't believe that he'll issue a condition of martial law to round up these people. I think that would be political and physical suicide for the guy, because there's too much at stake with the intelligence agencies and the banking system that's all tied together. Example, the documents supplied to the secret court, the FISA court here in America, to launch the investigation of Trump from the Obama administration were all false, based on false information. And Trump was going to release those documents, the warrants for the documents for those warrants, and he said he got a call from two of his allies, and then he decided that he wasn't going to make them public. He was going to allow the inspector general to review those documents before making them public. So my guess is that he got a call from Great Britain and Israel saying, don't make those public. You'll get in trouble. We don't like the idea of you making those public. What's in those documents? It'll show the false, how they falsely gathered this information and used it to spy on a political opponent. So the fact that he would declare martial law, I think, is a little far-fetched from my perspective, because he still has to deal with the forces of those guys.
Well, yeah, I agree. But if a civil war breaks out, even in a small way, he might have to. I mean, if it goes that far, then he's no choice but having to do it. Now, it backfire for the Democrats, because that's playing right into Trump's hands. But it maybe does something else that we don't know about, or something else going on. But, if the Democrats are actually telling people to be violent, and that has taken place now in America, where people are getting beaten up and stuff like that, then you don't know,
Yeah, it could escalate to that, and it might come down to that. I hope it doesn't. It'll be ugly to see. It's already ugly to see the violence in the streets of America as it is. There's this note I wanted to make about Bill and Hillary Clinton. They think they're rock stars, right? So as a band would, tour the country and rent out these, venues to put on a rock show, the Clintons thinking they're popular enough to make a 15-city tour and talk about themselves, and people would pay to come hear them talk about their criminal activity. I think is funny.
Yeah, well, that's it. These people are delusional anyway, and at the best of times. I mean, we know about Hillary, and if she got in, good God, unbelievable. But it's amazing how, I mean, we've had one or two interviews where American people have come on who have a background in, educated background, and they're saying, yeah, vote Hillary, and you think, wow. Do you not see what's going on? It's just amazing that they just don't see it, and they think voting Hillary was the solution. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's all coming out. We were told 2 years ago that all this stuff is going to be coming out, and maybe people are losing the plot a bit, because they're now having to deal with things they didn't know about, and that's the way their cognitive dissonance is being knocked on and being rattled a bit. And even though they want to ignore it, it's coming out in the mainstream media and the news, and they're just flabbergasted by it. And we were told that's going to happen, and people are going to lose the plot a little bit, and you're going to see a bit of madness and a bit of nuttiness happen with the man on the street, because they're not used to dealing with the truth coming out on TV and mainstream media, which is what's happening. So, and we have I know in America with everything going on, it's important because you mentioned there about guns and stuff in America. Well, in Ireland, we have guns as well. People can get guns. I mean, you have to go through a rigorous process to get a gun, but we do have guns. And
are you allowed to keep them at home, or do you have to lock them up in an armory?
No, we can keep them at home. Depending on the gun that you have will depend on whether you need to have a gun safe or whether you can just have a gun lock on it. But you can keep the gun in your house, and you're not allowed handguns over here in Ireland. You only allowed the likes of rifles and shotguns.
So you're limited, but you still at least have some measure of self-defense.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, you can't be a criminal and get a gun, or you can't be a nutcase and get a gun. You have to show yourself to be mentally okay, mentally sane, and not have a criminal record. So there are strict restrictions. But if you pass the restrictions, then yes, you can go out and get a shotgun or a rifle. So there are gun clubs over here in Ireland. So yeah, I mean, we do have guns. I don't know what it's like in Switzerland, Detlev, what it's like over there with guns.
Yeah, don't they have every citizen armed or something in Switzerland, Detlev?
Well, it used to be that in Switzerland that you are obligatory part of the Swiss militia, right? The Swiss army. And you were able to take home your gun. You had to take home your gun and ammunition. But a few years ago, they did not allow any further taking away ammunition. So people just have their guns from the military at home. But you can off of that, you can have an own guns. You have to apply for a permit and so forth. That is easier possibly here in Switzerland than in Germany. But also in Germany, you can apply for guns. You get a permit to carry guns. But it is very restricted insofar that they are trying to take away gun permits from people who are different, who are woken up, who have an opposing voice. So in Germany, so that is getting harder and harder for everybody to have guns, or to own guns. And you have to store them away, so you cannot just, it's very complicated. So I guess in the U.S., at least in some of the states, it is a complete different world.
Yeah, here I can go to the store,
yeah,
and depending on how much money I have, at least as long as I pass the background check, which is an instant background check, they run your identity through their systems, and I guess they audit several different systems. And if it comes back clean, you can walk out with a truck full of guns and ammo that day. And so here in America, we do still have that. If the elections go badly for the Democrats, we might just have a revolution beyond the cultural and political civil war that we're seeing now. And it might be that, Soros starts arming Antifa folks. Who knows? I don't see that as not being a possibility for sure. With as much violence as they're advocating, give these Antifa clowns guns. Oh boy, that'd be funny, huh?
I think it's Matt. I think you're lucky because you have the Second Amendment over there, and I think I'm a big advocate of guns, but from a safety point of view, that if for defense only. So if somebody breaks into your house and threatens your family, that you can take them out. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that breaks into somebody's house has lost their rights, because they're not they're trespassing. And if there's a fact that they come into your house and there's possibly that there's going to be violence, that they're trying to kill you, then you have to be able to take care of yourself and your family. Now over here in Ireland, unfortunately, the law is bloody stupid, and apparently you've to me the same resistance with what the person has. So if the person has a knife, you can't go out, say if you have a gun, you can't go and shoot them with your gun because he only had a knife. So that means I have to say, hang on a minute, let me go and get a knife, and then the two of us will have a knife fight. You know what I mean? This is how stupid the law is in Ireland regarding somebody breaking into your house. Where in the US, I think it's accepted. And I've heard some great stories, and I've actually heard where there is there's a group where if you actually kill a burglar in your house, you get a donation from some group for job well done.
I've not heard of that, but I
Right
don't see that as I don't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah, in some states. Well, look, at the end of the day, the person shouldn't be there. They're not,
Right.
if somebody comes into the house, and I know the system will say, oh, well, people might do the wrong thing. Well, people might do the bloody right thing as well and take some scumbag off the planet of the earth so they don't do it to somebody else.
I tell you what, you come to my house uninvited with ill intent, you will have a very bad day.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. You should be able to. The system is completely wrong. You should be able to do what needs to be done to protect your family. Now, I totally agree that the system has to be regulated. You walk into a shop and you can just do a quick background check. I don't know what's involved in that, but in Ireland it's more rigorous. But you should be able to go, once you pass the test, to go in and have a gun or have a handgun. Because, having a shotgun, having a rifle is okay, but it's too, you'd be flapping about, if somebody broke in, it'd take you too long to try to get out and load up and everything else, where a handgun, you can just take out of a secure box and be ready to go with it. So I do agree with the Second Amendment, and any country that had their guns taken off them, they generally after that, there's been a genocide where the people were attacked. So I wouldn't be saying to America, there's loads of people that will give you loads of examples of why people shouldn't have a gun. It's all about responsibility and being a responsible adult. If you're a responsible adult with a gun, then chances are nothing will happen. If you're an idiot with a gun, chances are something will happen. So it's not the gun that kills people, it's the idiot behind the gun.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly. Well, hopefully, let's hope that the Civil War in America doesn't escalate to further violence. It's already violent. There's no question about that. It's a violent civil war as it is, but we don't have mass people dying yet. Let's pray and hope that doesn't happen here in America. And my personal hope is that the Republicans can keep the House and Senate and therefore give Donald Trump more political muscle to accomplish the things that he wants to protect America. I believe, I'm getting to really like the guy. I don't agree with him on foreign policy, like with Israel or Iran. I think those are misguided. But on domestic policy, he's really doing good, and his intentions are good, and he's keeping his word. He's really helped the American economy. He cut taxes. So even guys like me saw, more than a couple $1,000s in tax breaks this year. He's removed regulations from the corporations so that they can actually do things and conduct business. He's raised tariffs and renegotiated trade deals so that America can compete with the rest of the world. Yeah, we might see prices go up for goods coming from China, but maybe that's incentive for us to start building things on our own, like our own dishwashers, our own refrigerators, because what Americans don't know, that the Chinese were charging us all kinds of tariffs for goods coming from America, but we weren't charging them. It's a one-sided deal. So he's protecting us there. The economy is not really taking off. I see
Can I just say something about that before we go to the top of the hour, Matt?
Yeah.
I've been in the States 3 times. And I spoke to the locals, and one of the things they said, and this could be right or wrong, we went into these electronic shops and we seen these massive TVs and all this, and things were really cheap, and we're going, wow, look how cheap these stuff is. And the lads that we spoke to, the techie guy, said, yeah, they're American manufactured, but we don't buy that stuff. We buy the Chinese stuff. And I said, why is that? He said, because guaranteed the day after the warranty, the bloody thing will break. It has redundancy built into it, or obsolescence built into it. And he said the quality is not that good. So we buy the Chinese stuff. Now, that was their comment that they said to me. I don't know, because I don't buy American products, but that's what the locals were saying to me.
Well, the economy has to, you have to build an economy on manufacturing and products to sell. We don't sell anything here in the United States anymore. We wash each other's dishes and feed each other, but that's about the state of our economy. So Trump is doing a good job domestically, and if the Republicans can hold the House and Senate. It'll give him more political muscle to accomplish these goals in America, and hopefully we avoid a bloody war.
Yeah. Well, we're going to the top of the hour, so Detlev, we'll pass that over to you, and then we'll get into the other subjects after the hour, I think.
Yeah.
Excellent discussion this hour.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Well, I just want you to remember that there is a study out there from Deagle.com who's predicting reduction of people in different countries, and until 2025. And this Deagle.com website shows 227 million less inhabitants in the US in the year 2025.
That's 8 years or 7 years from now?
No, 5-6 years from now. 6 years, let's say.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's say 6 years from now.
Yeah.
If that's the case, they're going to have to get a lot more aggressive, because that's a third of America's population. Scary number, though.
Yeah, it's the same with the UK. It's the same with Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It's about half of the population which is gone.
And what's the die? Why are they dying off, Detlev?
There are, they've been asked why they are claiming such a reduction in certain countries. And they were saying, well, there's a natural, change of birth rates and which are going down, and they were sort of not really telling why they are anticipating this, but they are collecting all the information from the countries themselves, from the secret services and so forth.
I've heard of this study. Yeah, I've heard of this study.
Anyways, it's just a warning to keep up alert. All right, so we are ready going into the break. We will have a little music by Neil Fox, Blood on the Horizon. Let's hope not, but we'll see after that.
Great choice there.
Right.
Great choice there, Detlev.
Yeah.
You always have good choice in music.
Well,
UnitedWeStart. We explore the New World Order, finance, science, health, and other subjects in our group discussions of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Looking forward to meeting you. United We Start, Fighting for Freedom, a group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of a month, 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT.
Hi, this is Detlev again here from Switzerland. We had a nice discussion in the first hour about mainly the topic of the US, what is going on there. But there are lots of other topics which are all sort of connected. And I have with me here Matt from the US, who elaborated about the situation in the first hour, and Ellen from Ireland. Well, why don't we get into all the other subjects? For instance, the one-world currency proclamation by the Rothschilds, based on the Economist, which issued in their magazine 1988, so 30 years ago, that in 2018 there would be a one-world currency. That's one of the issues, and the other one would be the migrant issue, and possibly more. Alan, why don't you bring in your thoughts?
Well, I don't know too much about I've heard about the one world currency and talk about it, and the push to have everything digital and get rid of cash, because it's easier to control a system and easier to manipulate a system if there's no paper money. Plus the fact that everything is traceable when it's digital. If you go into a petrol station and your card doesn't work, you can take out your money from your pocket and give them cash. When that's taken away from us and everything's on a card, if they don't like you for whatever reason and they disable your credit card or your debit card, then you're pretty much stuffed. And I think that's very, very dangerous. Now, if they're saying that they're going to the one world currency, some people are speculating that the one world currency is going to be crypto. Something that myself and Steve have kept away from on OIM, and people have said to us, why don't you talk about crypto? Because, and I like the idea of crypto, don't get me wrong, but at this moment in time, I don't like who's controlling it or how it's controlled. And there's been a number of exchanges. I've heard loads of stories of exchanges being where the crypto has been stolen, or people have bought crypto, used a specific wallet for their crypto, and then the wallet was a hacker's scam to get their bitcoins. And I'm a big believer, and I'm an IT guy, but I'm a big believer of if you don't have it in your hand, then you don't have it. And just talk about the internet going down in the next 48 hours. I don't know about that either. It's just people on the internet are talking about it, like the X22 report, or they're mentioning it, and somebody else, Join Army, I think, is mentioning this. So if the internet, for example, did go down and we had no access to our internet, then you have no access to your crypto wallet. Now, I know you download it on your phone, but it's useless to you if you can't do transactions because if the internet is down. And so I'm a big believer. From an IT point of view, I like the idea of crypto, but not the way it is in its current form at the moment. And so I'm a big believer of you need it in your hand if the system goes down. The one world currency, is it going to be crypto? If it is the one world currency, it makes sense because they want a cashless society. So it seems to be that if they're going to roll it out, it's going to be going down that road, which is a concern. Will they get the one world currency? Will they be allowed to roll it out? I don't know. Because there are good people out there doing stuff and stopping the deep state from getting what they wanted or what they want. Put it this way, if they got what they wanted, we would be all dead by now. Time and time again over the years, we've heard about stories where they've tried to wipe us all out with viruses and wars and everything else, and we're still here. So there is good people doing good stuff in the background, and the fact we're still here means that they haven't got their way. So, but that's my take. I don't know too much about the ins and outs of the world crypto. I don't know whether the one world, new world crypto. I don't know whether Matt, what you've read up or what you've researched, Matt.
Well, I actually wanted to hear Detlev before I commented because he brought up the 30-year-old article in The Economist, and I want to know what they said, Detlev.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm also not the expert in this issue, but the issue is therefore interesting because 2018 is their targeted year, 30 years ago. So there are not many months left in the year. So when it should happen, it will happen within the next couple of months. And there were some dates discussed in the community. And, we all know those guys like symbolism. And there are at least two opportunities to do this. This would be the 11th of November 2018.
That's what I heard. Sorry, Detlev, just jump in there. The three dates I heard was the 15th of August, the 10th of October, on the 11th of November.
Right, and the 11th of November.
It's Sunday.
3 times 11.
Yeah, and it's Sunday as well. It's Sunday.
Sunday, right. And they would be able to close down everything, and so you couldn't make any more transactions through your usual bank or cash facility or so forth. If you don't have cash at home, then you are pretty lost. And the next one, which is also symbolic, is 28th of November, because 28 is also 11, if you count them together. November is 11, and 2018 is 11, 2 plus 1 plus 8. So that is a possibility. Or 29th, sorry, the 29th it would be, right, sorry. So there are 2 dates possible if we link it to symbolism. But they can definitely do it also on any other day if they want to proceed this. But as we know, they always announce what they are doing long time ahead. And we know The Economist is a magazine owned by the Rothschild family. So it is a certain hint that something might come up. I'm not so much in agreement with you, although I know that this is being discussed with you, Alan, that the cryptocurrency would be the one, because the head of the Bank of International Settlement here in Basel is a new guy from Mexico. It's a huge guy, looks like, I don't know, a dragon. He said that people should keep their hands away from cryptocurrencies. So they are sort of looks like they're fighting against this.
I would agree with you on that. I'm not going near crypto. OIM, we don't report on crypto and we don't advertise crypto, because I'm not comfortable with crypto at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, we are also not too much involved in that because there are certain risks in there, and you need to have money anyways. And I'm by the way, I'm just trying to get Michael in here as well. He showed online, so we'll see whether he can join us. Okay. So the other issue is, will it take place? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, or are you changing subject? Because I wanted to comment on the one world currency.
Why don't you?
Okay. If that's the case, and I appreciate you bringing up this topic, Detlev, because it is interesting and it would be concerning. But if they were to have this in place in 2018, they are woefully behind schedule. So I don't think it is going to take place because it would take too much world coordination through the financial systems to be able to pull this off. And that preparation is not there, has not been made. You've got too many competing currencies in the world now. The dollar is losing its domination as the world's currency, especially when it comes to trading for oil. You know, Iran is not trading oil in dollars, and that's why we want to go to war with Iran, so that they keep that dollars upheld. You've got the Chinese yuan and the Russian ruble now becoming more powerful currencies, and you've got the BRICS nations who formed their financial alliance. You've got other financial alliances forming around those countries and Middle East countries and European countries now. So there's too much chaos in the financial markets to implement a one world currency at this time. So I don't think that's going to happen. As far as cryptocurrency, I'm with you, Alan. I'd rather see substance, something of value that I can physically possess versus bits on a memory chip or a hard drive. That's to me is lunacy. It is lunacy to think that this electronic matter is worth value like I could trade for a gallon of milk. That's nuts. If I could buy hefty amounts of gold with my cryptocurrency, then we've got another story we're talking about there. But that's not really the case. So cryptocurrency, I don't think, is a viable means of trade, international or local, in the future. It's just people playing with numbers and entertaining themselves in front of their computers.
Yeah, to loads of stories. Sorry, Detlev, loads of stories I've heard of people having their crypto, their bitcoins stolen, and exchanges being shut down or stolen. So I'd advise anybody to not go and, there's actually people going getting bank loans out and buying bitcoins because they think they're going to make money from it and become a millionaire. I mean, it's just ludicrous. I would just not do that at all until there's some kind of stability in the market. Now, one thing I want to just speak to you guys about as we're talking about currencies and stuff. A couple of years ago, over here anyway in Ireland, all that we seen on the TV was cash for gold, give us your gold, cash for gold, loads and loads of adverts, different companies, cash for gold, bring in your necklace and we'll weigh it and give you money. All of a sudden, all them ads are gone. So
Right.
where did all these companies go? All of a sudden they were advertising and now they're not advertising. So where does all this gold go?
The same questions. We have them here in the United States. We see them every now and then, but I always ask myself, who's getting that gold and where is that gold going? Is that like Federal Reserve front? I could put, because they're a private company, so I could put up, front companies to buy gold and then, put it in my vaults, wherever that might be.
There is a difference between gold papers and physical gold. And Alan, you were talking about physical gold. We had the same issue over here in Switzerland, Germany, and so forth. The new one world currency, that's the prediction, is gold based. That's what they are, what they were promoting. So that means if all these guys have collected the physical gold, or most of it, then they have the whole market. You will not have access to the gold, but they have. And the issue which we are maybe facing then, if that's the case, I mean, China has bought up gold like mad. It's the same thing Russia. So they've all bought gold like hell.
Good for them. That's smart.
Yeah, but they are working all together. So it's not Russia against the U.S., China against the U.S. They're all working together.
Okay, so if it's a gold-backed currency, I mean they took that away in the early 1970s over here, in the UK and Ireland,
and the US.
Well, okay, great, in the US. So that means that was taken away. So our money is fiat currency, is based on nothing and is backed by nothing. So that means that if they're going to bring in a one world currency that's backed by gold, then that is a good thing. And then if that's the case that it is a good thing, then who's behind it?
Yes,
yeah.
You could
the Rothschilds.
I would say so, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you and me.
Yeah.
Because they can always exempt us, because they will not trade gold pieces. They will trade this electronically, and you only get electronic credit if you are supporting the system.
But why would they back it with gold? I mean, the Rothschilds don't give a damn about us. And they've already taken the money away. They took away the backing in the early 1970s. So why does it concern them that they have to have the new currency backed with gold? They don't give a damn, and they can fool us all again like they did in the 70s. So why would they be backing it with gold?
I think that's a valid question, and I think that makes no sense for them to be backing it with gold.
Yeah.
Why should they put up their gold as collateral for money when they just can keep making fiat currency?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I keep doing that?
Exactly, yeah.
Because they are now one. So
I wouldn't put my gold at risk if I owned all that physical gold that the United States we think is in Fort Knox, which isn't. And the gold that the Federal Reserve holds for all these other countries like China, Russia, Switzerland, Germany, they have the physical possession of all this gold, and they can keep making money out of thin air. Why put that gold at risk? That's stupid.
That would be my concern. Why would they do that? Why would they put their gold up? They don't care about us, so they could just roll out another world currency and do the same thing, have it backed by nothing, and fool everybody into thinking that it is backed by something.
Well, they were going to use carbon credits. That's why they pushed the global warming thing, and then global warming wasn't happening, so now they call it climate change, but they're going to sell us carbon credits, and that was going to be the new currency.
Yeah, but this is not really happening. I mean, too many people are criticizing this. But gold, nobody will discredit gold. But
right.
Understand it. It is not Russia which owns gold. It's not the US which owns gold. It's the cabal which owns all the gold.
No, I think Russia and China has been physically getting their own. Wasn't there a couple of instances where at least I think China asked for their gold back, and what they got was platinum? And Germany had the same thing happen to them from gold. They were trying to send back to Germany from the Federal Reserve, right?
Yeah,
they got platinum bars.
Right. It was fake gold. And I think Germany asked for their gold, and they said they weren't going to get it for another 20 years.
Right.
And there was gold sent over to maybe China, I think, one country, and they looked at the gold bars and realized that was only gold coating, and that was like something on it that wasn't real gold anyway.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. But anyways, we can discuss this. We don't know, but my assumption is it doesn't matter because it's all in their hands. So it's not for us, the gold. The gold is for them to trust each other amongst them, so they can be sure there are no bad deals done. But for us, it doesn't matter because if you own gold, it could be that they take away your gold. Possibly not next year, but over the time, because they might establish laws against keeping gold at home. So for security issues or something like that. So you would
that already happened in the United States in 1933,
and in France as well. In France, you're not allowed to ship gold via post office. So it is there are strict rules possible.
Michael said he knows why they want the gold. Is Michael come in there?
Yeah, Michael, hi.
Yeah, hello, everybody. I had some family obligations, cemetery visit today. Well, anyhow, the gold, I know why they want to keep the gold, because they want to keep it makes the lie last longer, because there is a cult significance to it. Because if they only base it through a lie, it's based on a lie, it's basically a big fraud. If they have something valuable, something of value there, it creates a reality. So they need that because of some occult background regulations. So if you have something which is worthwhile and you base a lie on top of it, it feeds on that real values. So that is the reason why they want gold. Otherwise, it just puffs away. People become suspicious and they don't trust anymore. And it has to do with the human nature. They feel something. It is fishy. It is not worthwhile. So they set it aside. And if they back it up with gold, this lie, this fake kind of Ponzi game will last longer.
Okay, well, we'll just have to see what happens. Come the end of November, if nothing has changed by the end of November, then maybe, as Matt says, that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think the news in November is going to be the election, the midterm elections. That'll be the big news for November. Well, although you might be seeing a setup for a staged economic crash, with the stock markets taking dives this week. We've seen that happen where just before that TARP bailout vote, where in 2008, the banks needed bailing out because they gambled, so they wanted the American taxpayer to pay their bill. The stock markets tanked like for 2 days, really tanked bad. And then Congress voted to pass this law that says Americans have to pay for the banks gambling, which is basically fascism. The stock market's dropping intentionally this week, maybe, and keeps dropping, sending a signal to say, well, we want to keep the Democrats or make Democrats become take the House in the election. That might be a tool to watch for. But I think the big news in November is going to be the outcome of the midterms, no matter how it goes.
Yeah, but nevertheless, we will have our next show on 10th of November, which is one day before the 11th, as we discussed,
and just after the election.
The election. So we'll see whether this coincides. Possibly there is a connection.
Great topic, Detlev.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The other thing is the migrant issue or migrant catastrophe. The UN Migration Act or Pact, if you want to, which will take place in December, where over 170 countries of the world will agree upon a complete open border policy everywhere. This is a soft law, so it is not a hard law which everybody has to implement. And we know that the US and Poland, I guess, and maybe there will be a few others, have said they will not sign this agreement.
I could never see Trump doing that.
No. U.S. has already issued that they will not participate, but everybody else. So that means for us in Europe, especially, that there will be a complete. They are all corrupt here. Especially Germany is the leading country, which is inviting as many migrants from Africa and everywhere as you can imagine.
Uh-huh.
So we are actually awaiting an influx of migrants, which are amounting up to 200 million people in a very short period of time, possibly. Can you imagine what that means?
That's your revolution there in Europe. They want to overthrow the culture, not through arms, not through bloodshed, but through cultural dilution. Well, that's what their aim is.
This is one of the mentions of Albert Pike and the Protocols of Zion. Albert Pike being the high-ranking Mason, Scottish Rite. Right. He said that there'll be 3 world wars, and the third world war will be Muslims against Christians. And obviously, open borders, what's happening? I mean, Detlev, what we are seeing over here in Europe, what's going on with Sweden especially. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on. Like women can't walk down the street anymore because they're being attacked, and there's gang rapes and everything going on. And they're opening the borders. And obviously this is part of, by the look of things, the Third World War, where it's one religion against another, as I won't say predicted by Albert Pike, because they knew what they were doing. I mean, this is one of their plans. So right. I don't know how that's going to fare out, because we are putting two cultures together which are just completely opposite to each other, and it just won't work. But they know that, and that's what they want. I mean, what's happening is just unbelievable, and Ireland's no different. I know they're going to be doing the same over here. And this is not against the people per se, because I have friends who are Muslim, so I'm not going against. I have nothing against the religion, I'm going really more against the fundamentalists and the people who are in the culture who just think it's okay to go and gang rape, a woman, and just that's part of their culture. I mean, that's just, fundamentally wrong on all levels and all religions. It should be just, harm, loss, and injury, common law, So I don't know how it's going to play out in Europe or what's going to happen, Detlev, but it's going to be quite precarious for the next, few years to see what happens.
Absolutely, and I'm really. I had several shows in German about the subject, and people are just not getting it. I mean, people who are listening to us or me, they are awake, but I mean, the general public is just completely brainwashed into, we have to help the whole world and so forth, and it's also the deep state over here, which is promoting this influx, the migration policy. And all the churches are involved in that. The Vatican is involved in that. So, it's everybody against the population, if you want to.
Are you getting
exactly.
it in Switzerland, Detlev? Are you getting in immigration into Switzerland as well?
Yes, sure. I mean, if I live in Basel, right? The headquarters of the Bank of International Settlement, by the way. So this is a Freemasons High Court, right, over here in Basel. But if I go out on a day and look around, every second is non-white. Non-white. And I'm not talking about the white Muslims and so forth. So basically, I don't see any more Swiss people. There are no Swiss people around here where I live.
That many. Wow. Yeah. That's what they want here in the United States. They've had basically an open border for the last 30 years now with little enforcement of our borders. And that's what they want here. And if the Democrats get in power, that's what they're going to do. Is just keep the borders wide open and give amnesty to these folks, give them at taxpayer expense medication or medical care, education, and welfare. So who wouldn't want to come here, right? Right. But that's what they want here too. So this is the plan of the New World Order, because if you cannot identify yourself as a people based on a common culture or cause, and you cannot organize, you cannot resist the tyrannical government being imposed upon you.
Right. So this is very dangerous. I'm not worried about this a single individual, right? I have friends who are also not white and also not Christian and so forth. But it's the amount of people which are coming here which do not want to integrate. They're not. You cannot integrate as a Muslim into a Christian society. It doesn't work.
No, and they want to bring in their laws, right. And their laws are just antiquated.
Yeah,
oppressive.
Yeah, very. Yeah, especially if you're a woman. We interviewed a guy called Dr. Simon Atkins a few years ago, who's actually in Uruguay. He lives down there, and he was saying that Angela Merkel, along with the Bushes, have a property and a house house and land down there. So, if it gets too hot for Angela Merkel, I'm sure she'll jump on her private jet, fly down here, and then she'll have a great time and leave Germany to sort itself out. And this is the problem. If we do have civil unrest across Europe and this happens, you can guarantee that the elites will be trying to head down to their underground bunkers and sit it out, because we mentioned this about being a prepper and be self-sufficient. I mean, after 7 days, cannibalism kicks in. So it's not about weeks and weeks. I mean, within a week, give 10 days. If you don't have any food and you can't get food, you're dead, or else you end up eating somebody else. So it's a very quick process, survival. And obviously you'd have to get water as well, because you need water. I mean, if you have water, you could last about, I think, 30 days. But if you don't have food, if you have food but you don't have water, you'll survive, but you definitely need water for your body, for rehydrate yourself and all that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why Bushes and Merkel have haciendas in Paraguay, located next to the greatest water reservoir in South America.
How convenient.
And maybe that's where he is. Maybe he's in Paraguay, not Uruguay. They're obviously getting
Paraguay.
Well,
Paraguay.
I would assume that the Bushes have enough money to have large tracts of land across many countries.
Yeah,
that
many
they could.
go to New Zealand as well. Did you
Yeah.
did I talk about this the last time? The poisoning of the New Zealand countryside, where
No,
they
I don't think we did.
No.
the whole nature. There, rat poison, which they are throwing out from airplanes, and the
For
whole.
what purpose?
Well, the official statement is that they want to eliminate certain foreign life forms, but they are killing everybody, even humans. So there are lots of dead people already. There's a huge stuff going on in New Zealand, and New Zealand is one of the countries where they have lots of millionaires, billionaires, have bought bought land to build their bunkers there.
So you think it's a population reduction scheme?
Yes, it's a population reduction scheme, and they want to finish this in 2050. So it's going, and the people who are moving towards the bunkers, which they are building there, they are not, they don't have anything to do with the rat poison. I mean, they can hide and live safe there. But everybody else around, there's no possibility to have living around the bunker areas. There's no life left.
Well, I think it's a big crime to import people, pagan people, uneducated people, the people that organize that kind of a crime. I mean, it's ridiculous because these people, it is clear and obvious. If you take people, they're not educated. They are not prepared for this new culture to meet, and you have to prepare the people. I mean, it's common sense. How can you take this mass of zombies basically and plant them in a different place? That is prone for problems. So if they really would have tried not to make it more smooth, it is possible, but it is anyhow to start a nonsense to begin with. But anyhow, if you want to do it in a nice, proper way, you have to educate these people, prepare them for the new culture. They have to assimilate and these kind of things, but it has not been done. So they want the conflict. They want that we hit each other's head. And the thing is, all religions, all the Muslim religions, they're also.
We lost Michael.
Yeah, we lost Michael.
Well, he mentioned zombies. I wanted to say that we didn't have to import zombies into the United States. We developed them all on our own. It was incredible watching the mob attack the Supreme Court building the day that Brett Kavanaugh got sworn into the Supreme Court. There was this angry mob clawing and pounding at the Supreme Court doors and chanting like zombies. I swear, we didn't have to import them here in America. We made them ourselves, homegrown.
Michael, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I said it is clear these people that do import these people. It is clear, and in olden times, when people were traveling, they were prepared for the new culture. They were trained, and especially to make their mind receptible towards the new things. And when you import and when you regulate these kind of streams of flow of population, then you want to create a problem, and that's what they want to do it. So they don't like these zombies, or they don't like these uneducated people from the Near East. They don't like them. They hate them as much as they hate us. But they want to use them against us. So they're a tool. They're pawns in their hands, and to meet their purpose. And later, their privileges are gone. So these cabal does not care for either of us.
Yeah, they don't. Well, they're okay. They've got the underground bases. They're both holes that they can go through if things get really bad, and they just leave us on the service to deal with it. And I don't think, as you say, Michael, there, these people who are saying, "Oh no, well, we should bring them in and accept them into our culture." Well, say that to the women that have been gang raped by these guys. Where are all these people? Why don't you let them into your house? That's what I'd say. Well, if you think these people should come in, let them into your house. Let them live with you in your house and see how you get on. And you'll find that a lot of people wouldn't do it. So I don't know where that is going to put things, the way things are going at the moment. It's going to be the next 2 years, I think, because I do think that something's going to happen in 2020 on a positive way, because 2020 being 2020 vision. And I think 2018 was the catalyst year of waking people up and moving people on, waking them up to what's going on. Apparently, Amazon in America has sold out of the George Orwell 1984. They don't have any more copies left. They've been sold out of it. So obviously, there is a massive awakening going on. Maybe we'll get there before things get really bad.
Right. Well, I don't understand. If you invite somebody in your house and he shits on your desk, you throw him out, and rightfully so. So why don't they throw out the people that misbehave in a undesirable manner? Why don't they throw them out? I mean,
because you don't have political clout. If you had political clout, you could change the politicians' minds and exercise the ability to protect your borders, but you don't have the clout.
Right. Merkel is working for the banksters, very clearly, and the banksters have an interest in doing so because apart from their elimination tactics of the population, it is also they're creating new strawman accounts. By everybody you register newly in Europe, let's say Germany, they get a strawman account with the Bank of International Settlements. And on this account, there is, let's say, 10 million or something. And from that, they're creating new money by that. And Germany is getting, for instance, 1 million out of that. And the migrant gets 100,000 or so, which can be spent on the migrant. So that's how they finance this. And for them, it's a new credit. It's an amazing credit.
Mm. I mean, there is talk about everybody having a bond. I know over in Ireland, we have the government selling bonds to Europe, and the bond is short for bondage, and it's our bondage. It's our value to society over the period of time that we are alive. And they put a value on that, whatever algorithm or whatever calculations they have. So that's why they force people to be registered. When you have a baby, you have to register your baby, because when you register, then the bond is created and your birth cert is on bond paper. And now you have a value, and you've over your period of the time that you're alive. And then they can monetize that and sell it into Europe. So that's why bond, when they sell bonds, it's short for bondage. That's your tie-in. So as Detlev said there, I think it's the Sesquay account or something. It's called like that, the Sesquay account or something.
Yeah. And the issue is that's why they all throw their papers away, because they are getting issued new ones, and then there's a new bond created.
Yeah. So we all are worth a lot of money, and there's a lot of value there, but we are not benefiting from that money. And I know in America, the people say, well, you can go and see what the value is of who you are. But over in Ireland and maybe Europe, I don't know, there's no way of finding that out. I haven't found a way that you could find that information out.
Well, there are ways, but it's dangerous to your account. In the meantime, there have been people hijacked for doing this. I will not tell you here how it works, but there is a way to find out. But anyways, whatever means, it is a dangerous time, but we are here definitely for a reason, and it is very interesting. That's at least my thought.
Interesting.
We're seeing history play out before us, and this is a very pivotal time in human history, as we've always indicated even when we were with UnitedWeStrike.com. And I think we're seeing fruit of the efforts that we've planted years ago, that people are waking up, and now the new world order has to show its hands, like what came out with the Kavanaugh hearings. The Democrats showed their hands. They showed what they were about, and they're anti-American. They hate America. They don't even want us to have a civil process of conducting society. They want it destroyed, and they've shown that. And it's through actions like that, because they're so desperate, that I think more people are waking up. So this is a very pivotal time in human history, and the next election next month is going to determine how humanity goes. Because, like I said, America has nuclear submarines and ICBMs and aircraft carriers, and we can be destabilizing force wherever we want to be. And so that should scare the world. If we go to that all-out Hillary Clinton socialist open border agenda, America could be like the new Nazi regime. I mean, they would unleash war everywhere based on lies and phony narratives, so that Hillary and her buddy Rothschild can make a whole ton of money on selling weapons to the governments and then rebuilding after the war.
It's a constant thing. That's the whole idea. Go in, blow up the place, and then bring all the contractors in to rebuild the place. It's all about the money and control. I would like to think at our age, Detlev, Matt, Michael, that in our lifetime, maybe it's going to take another 10 or 20 years. And if we're still alive at that time, I would like to think that maybe in 20 years, because as Detlev, we are here for a reason. All of us are here for a reason. Yeah. I'd like to think maybe in 20 years' time, hopefully 10 years sooner, the better, that we will have crossed over that bridge and society would be a much better place, and we can reflect back to these times and 10 years previous, because we've all been doing this a long time, and we can pass on the knowledge to the generations and our kids and our kids' kids, and they'll say, Granddad, what was it like when the world was a real bad place, and you had to do you did your radio show, and there's so much trouble out there, and so we all have a digital copy of all the shows that we've done. Hopefully we'll be able to keep them and pass them on to our grandkids so they can learn from what we talked about and the issues and the struggles. But I'd like to think in our lifetime that the change will take place, hopefully.
Yeah, but the November is definitely getting interesting, because it could also be possibly that Trump is announcing the abolishment of the Fed, introducing a gold-backed currency, which everybody can use worldwide, because they're a cooperation with everybody else.
I don't see that coming.
That would be a surprise, wouldn't it?
A big surprise. I don't see that coming. That's not on his radar, I'm sure.
Okay.
Alan was a
I
good
agree
point.
with Alan, though. Yeah. Sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
It's a good point, Alan, that you mentioned that idea, and I think we have to stop feeding the monster.
Yeah.
Because my proposal is, as I said, I want to create a community with no money, with some ethical concepts on top. Create new communities, cultural oases. We have to keep the system out. And if we don't feed the beast, then we go back to the roots, to the basics. I think we have a chance. But when we remain intertwined with this cabal system, I don't see it as going to work.
Yeah, well, as we say, there's a lot going on, and in some cases, all we can do is speculate, because we really don't know what's going on. I mean, all of us, we can all speculate, and we can say what we've heard, but unless we're really on the inside, then all we can do is speculate. So we can't take what we've heard as gospel, because it could be a lie. So that's all we can do. We're on this show, we're on United We Start, and we talk about what's going on and the information that we've come across, but it could be right or it could be wrong, whatever, and we just keep, as we say, an open mind to it. And but let's hope that let's see what happens in November. As you say, Detlev, there's a lot of talk about the energies hitting the planet as well. People are talking about these energies affecting them in different ways, and the vibration level and your conscious level. Now, if it's true that also that if 75% of the alternative media are controlled or they're actually in it for the wrong reasons, then if you think about it, there's only 25% of us actually affecting change on the planet, which is quite scary, but quite good that we're doing it if that's the case. And if the 25% have managed to do what we've done so far, then obviously, it's working.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm positive. I don't think that we will all disappear in the black universe, but we will live on. I mean, the ideas and our spirits, they will be there, our soul. Even if we are not physically available.
I agree with Alan. I can look back now and see what work I've done for the last 26 years on the internet. With my website, I was one of the first, if not the
Oh, we lost you, Matt, there.
We lost Matt. We just have, let's say, 7 minutes to go until the end of the show.
Okay. Matt, are you there?
Well, he's going.
I don't know. We had Michael go out there, and then we had Matt going out there.
Topics are too hot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But we should start wrapping up as well. I mean, we are sort in a wrap up, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing I think we have to do is our self-transformation. We have to attune ourselves into the cosmic truth and into the spiritual realities. And when we do that, the negative forces have no chance. But it's our choice, and we have to really
might help others make up their own mind.
So, Matt, you're back?
Yeah.
Matt, we lost you about 1.5 minutes or something.
Oh, geez. Oh, so I'm just here talking to myself.
Yeah. I'm afraid so, for 1.5 minutes anyway.
Oh, geez. Anyway, so I think we can look back at what we've done, the work we've done with United We Strike, and the work we do here, and feel, that we've helped in some small measure to bring about the change we're seeing currently. And I like to think that we're here together in 10 years, but not only to, spend time because we're good friends, but so we can celebrate, victory for humanity, hopefully.
That's it. Michael, do you want to add your bit in there?
Yeah, as I said, I think most important is our inner development. When we are in tune with our cosmic quest that we took from the spiritual world, and we keep that up, and we reacquaint, and we form a religion, a new bond towards that step that goes through inner self-transformation and meditation. And then there is good scope for humanity. And if materialism doesn't pull our legs, then I see a good scope. And one of the things that I think it's important to create new communities, new community of people that live with their own new agenda, aside from the system, to starve the system out and disconnect from the system. And if everybody does it, and if a new brotherly, sisterly kind of relationship between the human beings is being established or fostered, then I think it's going to work out, and I see a good, positive future for mankind. If it doesn't, and if we still want to keep on, being hooked to the system, then I have a sort of dark notion. But I think mankind will get the hint, and through that kind of small communities, they will grow up, intertwine, interconnect, and in that way, I have a positive scope.
I think we are being helped in many ways, not just from a we do have to tidy up our own mess. That's a given. Nobody's going to come in and save the planet. I mean, I think we'd all agree on that. But on saying that, there is a certain level of help taking place where regarding the things that we can't do ourselves. But the rest will have to be done by us. And I think part and parcel of the first step is, number one, waking up the people. And another thing that we've said before on OAM is that any secret society throughout history that has been exposed has not lasted. So it's up to us to do and expose as much as we can on the shows when we do it. And that's half the battle. And then let people kind of digest that information and hopefully wake up to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're coming to a head of the end of the show. Why don't we make a quick wrap up? Everybody can say a few words to the audience.
Sure.
Start, Matt.
Okay, I'll go. Hey, so thanks everybody for tuning in. I really enjoy the time I get to spend with these guys. I think we can consider ourselves a community of sorts, Michael, us gathered here and our listeners. And we can, consider us a community of humanity. United We Strike was based on the premise that everyone around the world can affect change, because to fight the new world order, we can't just do it on a national level. It's an international scheme, so we have to fight it globally. And I think we're accomplishing that mission and considering ourselves a community. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, the fact that we gather here once a month, second Saturday of the month, that's great. My website is nwodor.com, nwodor.com. I'll post this show along with our latest podcast for United We Start up on my website. I can't wait to take a listen to this. I'm hopeful that in November, we have a positive outcome in our election, that the Republicans and I don't like Republicans, don't get me wrong. I think up until this last 2 weeks, there were really no difference between Republicans and Democrats. But hopefully the Republicans can maintain power, giving Trump more time to affect positive change in the world, like getting out of the Paris Climate Agreement, that kind of thing. Will give us another 2 years, assuming he's physically capable of doing so. So I'm hopeful, and I'll be talking to you guys next month from Hawaii. I'll be on a trip there, but I'll be here to talk to you about the outcome of the election and this one world money system. Glad to be here with you guys. Appreciate it.
Well said. Michael?
Yeah, as I said, I think when we all, change our everyday's life with our people that we meet every day, we can make their day happy. If you give them a smile, if you're friendly towards them, if we give them positive kind of feedback, we can already change a lot. And especially with our people that our daily partners and people that we meet, our working companions, and we can really be positive and talk to them and be friendly to them, and that we change already a lot when we do that. So I think we'll have a good scope in that way. And every day, our thought life, as I said, that's why I mentioned meditation. Thought life should change if we keep that clean and pure, and our feelings. And if we don't get angry so many times, that already helps a lot. So, so I hope to see you guys again next month. It's always a pleasure for me. And, kind of inspiration.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Michael. Ellen?
Yeah, just a short word just to say to everybody that there is an awful lot going on in the world at the moment. I do think that we have crossed over to the good side. I do think the snowball going down the hill is picking up momentum, and we are in the birth canal at the moment. The birth canal obviously signifies pain, which is what we're going through, and I'm not saying that's going to be anyway quick. It could be a long labour, but we know at the end of the tunnel there's going to be positive stuff happening. So we just have to grin and bear it for now. Go with it, wake people up, spread the word. The more people woken up, the better. There's a lot going on. Do what you can with the resources that you can. That's all we ask. And tune in to any of the radio shows, either OAM Radio or Matt or Detlev or Michael. And we wish you all the best. And then we'll be back in November to see what's going on. So for myself, Alan James, take it easy, stay safe, and have a good month.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ellen and guys. Our next United We Start roundtable discussion will be on November 11th. To be honest, 10th. Sorry, the 11th is already, getting into my head. The 10th of November will be our next roundtable discussion. Looking forward to meeting you then. This is Detlev here out of Switzerland, producing for UWS. And our website is wakenews.net and wakenews.tv. Please look it up. Thanks a lot. Seeing you guys then. Bye-bye.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Death to the new world order.
Yes. And stay tuned. We will have a rebroadcast after that. See you. Bye-bye.
Join United We Start, a group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners in various topics. Join us every second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, which is 18 to 20 hours GMT. Join us. We're looking forward to meeting you.
Songs as I write you this letter, the days past and days yet to come, and the message of freedom, the message of freedom. I stand at the edge of the pages of history and lessons unlearned. It feels like these pages are remaining unturned, but boys, it's no mystery. Children, I'm sorry to leave you this world in a state of disaster. It was given to me in a similar state, but I woke up so late in the game. Now it's spiraling faster. 'Cause freedom's the answer, so what is the question? Resist the advances of force and aggression, and leave to your children the promise of something more. As God is my witness, I'll be a slave no more. Boys, listen close, for our souls may depend on the actions we take and the causes we choose to defend. So treat every man as a friend and live your own lives in their divine processions, and transform your world with your selfless expressions. Reach out your hands, in time we'll understand. Children, one day I'll be gone, and you'll have to remember these words and be strong as you cling to each other, your family, your faith, and your father's song. You've known this all along. Well, freedom's the answer, so what is the question? Resist the advances of force and aggression, and leave to your children the promise of something more. As God is my witness, I'll be a slave no more. The message of freedom endured every tyrant or second-rate desperate. ever known, and for one simple reason, the people have kept it alive. And with no end in sight to the level of violence that men in high places will sink for to silence the will of the people. In you it must survive. But freedom's the answer, so what is the question? Resist the advances of force and aggression, and leave to your children the promise of something more. As God is my witness, I'll be a slave no more. Well, freedom's the answer, so what is the question? Resist the advances of force and aggression, and leave to your children the promise of something more. As God is my witness, I'll be afraid no more. Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, to be purchased with chains from our necks to our feet? Forbid this, Lord, I know not what is left.